Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this little guy. This right here is the EagTac GX30A3D diffuser model. It's an interesting light. It's another 3 times AAA light. I'm sorry, double A. And, yeah, first I want to thank my buddy Jim for sharing this guy. He'd sent me the 25A3, and when he got this guy, he sent it along as well. Heck of a light and heck of a friend to send those things along. Let's do a quick size comparison here. This is an 18650 battery. This is a double A battery. This is your EagTac D25A. This is your CR123 battery. This is a much bigger light by EagTac, the SX25L3, which is absolutely absurd. And just for scale, as always, the Spyderco Delica. So let's go ahead and talk about the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly of this particular flashlight. Okay, so on the good side, this actually has the same battery holder as I've talked about over and over again on the EagTac lights, but where it's kind of milled out of there, and so it makes it very easy to drop the batteries in. They're held securely, there's no rattling, there's no shaking, there's no rolling. It's kind of a beautiful thing. I like that very much. This has more power levels, output levels, than the 25, in that you've got 8 lumens on the lowest setting, 74, 205, 540, and 980 lumens. The high mode is absolutely good for outdoors, no problem there. And the low mode is absolutely fine for indoors darkroom navigation. Can't argue with that. Run times are pretty good. You get about an hour on high, about 5 hours on medium, and 100 plus on low, which you can't argue with particularly. It does have an instant turbo mode. If you just click the black button, it goes into your highest of high modes. And it also has an instant disco mode. If you double click the black button, you go into a flashing sort of affair, which is good. If you need to disorient a bear or something for whatever reason. I don't know if bears get disoriented that easily. But whatever. You get an IPX8 waterproof case, which is a beautiful thing. The ergonomics on this guy are nice. It's pretty nicely sized for the hand, at least for my hand. It fills it nicely. The buttons are located in a good position. I can't particularly argue with it there. And, you know, it's got a really nice tint to it. This is a nice neutral light, neutral white sort of thing. It illuminates colors very nicely. I won't argue with that particularly. And then finally, like I mentioned with the 25, this uses just these beautiful AA size batteries. And, you know, that's kind of a nice thing because you can use rechargeable AA's like your Renoloops, or you can use the alkalins, but you're not stuck using another weird proprietary battery standard. I appreciate that very, very much. So, there you go, but also don't use the boring off-the-shelf alkaline batteries like you find at the grocery store, because they're gonna explode in there sooner or later, and then you might lose your light. It's a bad idea. Really look into the Renoloops. It's kind of a beautiful thing. So, anyways, that's the good. It's got the nice battery holder. It's got some nice 5 levels of output with good run times. It's got an instant disco mode, an instant turbo mode. It's waterproof. It fits nicely in the hand. The tint on the light is good in the neutral one, and it uses AA batteries, which is beautiful. You don't need to go into proprietary battery standard hell just to have a really high-quality light. Let's talk about the great here. The great about this light is actually this plastic part in the front here. You may be noticing that, and actually this light has 3 different modes in addition to its, turbo sort of thing. The basic mode is the spotlight here. I'll turn it on the low setting, where you can see that it's just illuminating the central portion there. It just gives you a spot some ways away. It's got pretty good throw in that mode. The thing is, though, if you hold down this button and then press the other button, it actually changes the mode. So you can see here, the LED in the center is no longer lit up. Instead, there's a light on this plastic diffuser ring, basically. And this lights up the room that you're in very, very effectively. You can think of it as almost being like a camping lantern sort of affair. So this doesn't give any kind of a spot anymore, but it does provide a nice even illumination for whatever room you're in. Then the final option is to have both the spot and the diffuser. So you can see that this part is lit as well as the spotlight portion, which is really great if you're out in the outdoors and you want some illumination to either side, but you mostly want throw in front of you. It's kind of a beautiful thing. So you get a lot more versatility by doing things that way. If you just need a spotlight, you can change it to just being a spotlight. If you just need the diffuser, you can change it to just being, hold on, the diffuser. And if you want both, you can have both. Kind of beautiful. So there you go. That's what's great about this, is you get that 3-mode versatility of spot, diffuser, or both. Let's talk about the bad. Okay, so on the bad side, as you can tell, I've been struggling with it all review. The interface on this light is just not very good. For instance, I'll kind of give you the walkthrough. There are 3 buttons here: clear, this black button, and this black button. These 2 black buttons work just the same. This one's just located on the back. But if you hit the clear button, it automatically bumps you to low, and then cycles through the modes. If you click it again, to turn it off, you use black. If you just click the black button, you go instantly to high, which is fine. If you want to switch from the low mode to the high mode, you turn the light on, from the diffuser to spot or vice versa. You turn the light on, you hold down black, then you click clear. That turns it onto the diffuser mode. If you want to switch again, you again hold down black and click clear. And now we have the spot and the diffuser. And if you want to switch it another time, you do the same thing. And you always will press black to turn it back off again, unless you hold it down and press clear, in which case, it's just kind of a pain in the neck. It's not terrible. It works. I can work with it. But at the same time, I just can't help but feel like they could have done a lot better than they did here. It just doesn't impress me so much. The other thing is, speaking of the interface, this back switch here is kind of unusable in my hand. In this way, I can get to it, but it's really uncomfortable, and I just don't have a lot of power. Maybe if I had bigger hands, that would be a much more reasonable thing, but I just don't get the purpose of this back switch. This light is a little too big to be reliably doing something like this in my hands. It just doesn't make all that much sense to me there to have it. This light does very happily roll like crazy, back and forth all over the place. That can be fixed if you use the little tiny lanyard hole there. That's another thing that's not ideal. That lanyard hole is just tiny, but you can get something through there at least. There is only one low setting, and it is still actually fairly bright. There's not a moonlight mode on this guy as there are on a lot of flashlights, and that can be very helpful for preserving your night vision, but just giving a little tiny bit of light. Not the end of the world, but something to keep in mind. Another thing, if you have this guy set to high, or frankly even the lower settings, and you just have it on spot, let's take a look. You can actually see a fair amount of light bounces back at you from the diffuser here, which means that, with a lot of lights, if you have it pointed out that way on spot, see, it's on, and you point it out that way, you can't really see the light source here. All of the light coming at you is coming at you from whatever you're bouncing light off of. Whereas on this guy, when you do that, all of the light some of the light is actually coming directly at you from the tip of the light. It's not the greatest thing ever for your night vision. And you're kind of blinded a little bit by the glare coming off of the light itself. It's not perfect. It's not ideal. And in some ways, I get why you need the 360 for the diffuser, but I wish that those were a little more isolated, so that spot really didn't get any light into the diffuser. I know that'd be tough, but it bugged me a little bit there. Also, this diffuser idea, it's nifty and it does cool things, but the thing is, at the end of the day, it's not all that necessary all that often. If you're indoors, you can always bounce an existing light, just tail stand it, and bounce it off the ceiling. Or if you're in a tent, you can do it off the top of the tent. This diffuser sort of light is only really great for a situation where there's nothing to bounce the light off of. So if you're outdoors and need to light a small area, or something like that. It works just fine in those situations, and I guess it's nice to have. It doesn't hurt too much to have it on there, but it is something you got to keep in mind there. The light is honestly a little bit big for the amount of brightness. It's pretty heavy and it's pretty big. You can get similar brightness out of a much smaller light that's using something like a 18650 battery, and you get 8 ounces basically out of this light, which is a whole lot. I mean, the size of this thing coupled with that weight makes this really not ideal for on-body everyday carry. Maybe you put it in a jacket pocket or something and it's no problem, or you loop it on a wrist loop, but it's big and it's really heavy, and that just makes on-body carry a little bit iffy, let's be real here. And then finally on this guy on the bad side, the price is a little bit on the higher side. It's $115. That's a lot of money for a flashlight, but honestly, this has enough versatility, it has enough benefits that I feel like it is worth it. On the ugly front, the only thing I can really think of is I do not like that two-hand switch for the interface for mode, where you have to turn it on, then press. It bothers me at some level. I don't like having the two thumbs right next to each other. It's just not intuitive at all. It's clunky, and I feel like I should be able to just turn it on and then click to get that, but instead you have to turn it on, let go, click again. It's just it's an extension of my interface gripes, but that particular aspect of it is really, really unpleasant. So, I guess that's the uglies. I don't like the fact that the switch modes, you need to do the click and then the two hands, and even then, that's not super, super reliable. Let's talk final conclusions here. So, this is similar to the GX30A3, although I feel like it's almost a little bit better. The interface on it is lesser, 100%, in that one has the twisty interface, which I tend to prefer, and this guy has this two-button little bit of a monstrosity. But the thing is, the price is a little bit better on this, the illumination's about the same, and this offers just a little bit more flexibility to justify that price. If I was just going to buy one of them, the 25A3 or the GX30A3D, I would probably go with this model. So that's something to keep in mind. But overall, this is still, like I said, for the 25, a really great AA battery option, because not everybody wants to deal with proprietary batteries and chargers and weird things like that. So if you've already got inner loop batteries at home, or you just want to spend a little bit more time with the AA's in your life, this is a really great choice. And as I said about the A3, the 25 that is, this is a great light for the household. It's pretty intuitive, lots of people can use it, although the interface, it's a great light for power outages, it's a great light to have in the backpack. And even though it's not going to be a great pocket light, it is a really handy light to have around. So that's my review here. With the interface issue, it doesn't quite reach gem, but it's right on the borderline. I do like this light a fair amount. So there you go. I hope this has been interesting, that this review lit up your life, and that you have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.